Hello, Aluxers, welcome back. We know that you're working your way toward financial freedom and that purchasing one of the priciest cars on the market will be no problem one day. Ever since cars were first introduced, there's always been a clear distinction between the more affordable vehicle and the more luxurious option. The competition to produce the best car in the world has been fierce since the onset. So many variables influence the price and the value of a car, and today we're purely looking at how many dollars went from one bank account to another, and how one vehicle went from one garage to another. Welcome to alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Strap in, Aluxers, because today we're taking you on a wild ride. Number 10. Aston Martin DP215. $21.45 million. This beauty was once driven by racing legend Phil Hill. The 1963 Aston Martin DP215 was a prototype built on the chassis of the DB4 GT. At the time, British entrepreneur David Brown was the owner of Aston Martin, and he approved the design and manufacturing of the vehicle. The DP215 earned the title of being the most expensive British car to sell at auction when the hammer went down at $21.45 million in 2019. Another record for the vehicle was it was the first car to break the 300 km/h record at the Mulsanne Straight at Le Mans in 1963, driven by Lucien Bianchi and Phil Hill. However, it didn't finish the race as the car had gearbox issues. Brown decided to shut down the racing department of Aston Martin, but held on to the DP215 in the hope of racing it once again. Sadly, after spending 2 years rebuilding and refitting her, she had an accident on the M1 in 1965, putting those dreams to rest. The DP215 was purchased by father and son Neil and Nigel Corner, who restored her to her former glory, even managing to source her original engine. She eventually sold to a private collector in 2018 for the record price of $21.45 million. A quick scan of her specs: power, 354 HP, torque, 330 pounds-per-foot, engine, 4.0-liter straight-six, top speed, 300 km/h. Number 9. Jaguar D-Type, $21.8 million. When the Jaguar D-Type was designed, there was only one thing on the creators' minds: winning the Le Mans 24-hour race. They first hit the track in 1954 and were competitive until 1959, winning the Le Mans in 1955, 1956, and 57. Jaguar Cars Limited in the UK retired their factory team in 1956 and offered the unfinished D-Types to America as XKSS versions, with some add-ons including a second seat, side windows, a passenger side door, windshield wipers for the full-width framed windshield, and interior trimmings. They were now ready for production sports car races in America. In 2016, a 1955 model sold at Sotheby's auction in Monterey, California for $21.8 million. Jaguar Classic are said to be building 25 new recreations of this stunning vehicle, but if that's not an option for you just yet, you might just get to view one on display at the Concourse of Elegance in September 2020, where they reserve the rarest and most beautiful cars for their centerpiece display. A quick scan of her specs: power, 250 horsepower, torque, 242 pounds-per-foot, engine, 3.4-liter straight-six, top speed, 162 km/h. Number 8. Duesenberg SSJ, $22 million. Duesenberg Motors Company, or as some fondly called them, Doozy, was an American car manufacturer that was founded in 1913 by brothers August and Frederick Duesenberg in Minnesota. They were in operation from 1913 until 1937, and during that time, their vehicles won the Indianapolis 500 4 times. Part of their exquisite range was the SSJ, which featured a short wheelbase and a stronger engine. Only 2 of these were made, and they were owned by Gary Cooper and Clark Gable, 2 leading Hollywood actors of the day. Apparently, Hollywood's leading men used to race each other in them. The 1935 SSJ belonging to Cooper sold at a 2018 auction to an anonymous phone bidder for $22 million, making it the most expensive American car ever sold at auction and the most valuable pre-World War II vehicle ever sold. A quick scan of her specs: power, 400 horsepower, torque, 425 pounds-per-foot, engine, 6.9-liter straight-eight, top speed, 225 km/h. And just around the corner, we'll share an orphan-turned-millionaire's story who also happened to own one of these expensive vehicles. Number 7. Aston Martin DB-R1, $22.5 million. When you realize that racing legends like Reg Parnell, Sterling Moss, Carroll Shelby, and Roy Salvador have all driven this beauty, you can justify the $22.5 million fetched at Sotheby's auction in Monterey in 2017. This 1956 vehicle is rare because it's one of the few fitted with the British company's badge. The bidding war took 7 minutes and the vehicle was given to another anonymous phone bidder. Only 5 of these were built, and they were raced between 1955 and 1959, winning the coveted 24-hour Le Mans. Out of 18 events, the Aston Martin celebrated 9 wins. This one, which sold at auction, won the Nürburgring in 1959. A quick scan of her specs. Power, 254 horsepower. Torque, 250 pounds per foot. Engine, 3.0-liter straight 6. Top speed, 257 kilometers per hour. Number 6. Ferrari 275 GTB4 Nart Spider, $27.5 million. This is a story of owned and driven by one person, used only to get bread and milk on Fridays, come to life. She was one of 10 produced, and this rare 1967 model sold at auction in 2013 for an incredible $27.5 million. The owner was the late Eddie Smith, ex-mayor of Lexington, an orphan turned millionaire. When his parents died in 1930, he and his siblings spent 7 years in an orphanage. He built up his own business and was said to be a true inspiration to his city and loved his community. His son, businessman Eddie Smith Jr., chairman and CEO of Grady White Boats, sold his father's 1967 Ferrari 275 GTB4 Nart Spider at auction and was amazed to receive the amount of $27.5 million, all of which was to be donated to charities, which Smith Jr. said would be keeping in line with his father's philanthropic nature. A quick scan of her specs. Power, 300 HP. Engine, 3.3-liter V12. Top speed, 249 kilometers per hour. If you have a real appreciation for the fine motoring experiences, Aluxers, you'll love our video, The Top 10 Richest Car Companies in the World. Number 5. Ferrari 290mm, $28 million. When you realize that only 4 of these were ever built, you can justify the astronomical auction amount it received of $28 million in 2015. Originally built in 1956, the Ferrari 290mm was merely a Ferrari factory racer. Its very first race was the Mille Miglia, where it came second. Some legends that took the wheel of this car include Sir Sterling Moss, Phil Hill, Wolfgang von Trips, Peter Collins, and Juan Manuel Fangio. The car won the 1956 Mille Miglia, the Swedish Grand Prix, and the 1,000-kilometer Buenos Aires in 1957. A quick scan of her specs. Power, 315 horsepower. Engine, 3.5-liter V12. Top speed, 280 kilometers per hour. Number 4. Mercedes-Benz W196, $29.6 million. The W196, also known as the Silver Arrow, had many firsts, including its ultra-lightweight frame that only weighed 36 kilograms, and they were the first to use desmodromic valves. She was a Formula One racing car, and there were only 16 versions built, of which 10 remain today. The 1956 model that sold for the exponential price tag of $29.6 million was driven by Juan Manuel Fangio. She was said to be the most successful of all the models, having won both seasons of the Formula One Championship against the likes of Maserati, Ferrari, Cooper, and Lancia. Between 1954 and 1955, Mercedes-Benz W196 won 8 podium places and managed 9 out of 12 wins in various races. This model is the only one that's in private hands. The other surviving vehicles are either in museums or with the original manufacturer. She was sold by Bonhams in 2013. A quick scan of her specs. Power, 257 horsepower. Torque, 182 pounds per foot. Engine, 2.5-liter inline-8. Top speed, 299.4 kilometers per hour. Number 3. Ferrari 335 Sports Scaglietti, $35.7 million. It was at the Art Curial Motorcars Retromobile auction in 2016 that the 1957 Ferrari 335 Sports Scaglietti went under the hammer and fetched $35.7 million. Bidding began at $22.3 million and within 60 seconds had jumped up to $29 million before it went to an unknown international bidder. This Ferrari was an evolution of the 315S and made history for being the reason that the Mille Miglia was cancelled. It was 1957 and she was driven by Spanish driver Alfonso de Portago, who wasn't meant to be driving. He came in last minute to replace a sick Luigi Musso. As he was cruising on a straight road portion between two vehicles, a tire blew, sending the car into the spectators, killing 10. Both the driver and the co-driver died in the accident. The following year, the event was changed to a rallying type of event at legal speeds with plenty of regulations in force. The car was victorious in 1958 when Sir Sterling Moss won the Cuba Grand Prix. A quick scan of her specs: power 390 HP, engine 4.0-liter V12, top speed 299.4 kilometers per hour. Number 2. Ferrari 250 Testarossa, $39.8 million. Introduced at the end of 1957, she was built in response to the new regulations put in place by the FIA, and it ended up being one of their most successful cars ever. The Ferrari 250 Testarossa won the 24-hour Le Mans, the Targa Florio, and the 12-hour of Sebring, just to name a few. The Testarossa competed right up until the early 1960s. Initially, the retired vehicles weren't considered valuable until they started gaining value again in recent decades. This particular model is believed to be the only unrestored model left in the world, and you might even find DNA traces of Phil Hill in the vehicle. A quick scan of her specs: power 296 horsepower, torque 281 pounds-per-feet, engine 3.0-liter V12, top speed 259 kilometers per hour. Number 1. Ferrari 250 GTO, $70 million. If you'd like to join an exclusive club of expensive car owners, be prepared to fork out as much as $70 million, just like WeatherTech founder David McNeil did in 2018. It's not the only valuable car he has, though. His collection includes a 250 GT Lusso, 1960 Ferrari 250 GT Berlinetta SWB, and a 275 GTB. This racing car was fitted with a V12 engine and only 33 units were made. You could pick one up for $18,000 back in 1962, and Enzo Ferrari would personally approve each client. As of March 2020, 5 of these were sold for over $40 million each. A quick scan of her specs: power 296 horsepower, torque 217 pounds-per-foot, engine 3.0-liter V12, top speed 280 kilometers per hour. As actress Alexandra Paul once said, "The cars we drive say a lot about us, and never a truer word was said." And A-Luxers, that's a wrap on our list, but before you go, we're curious. Which of these cars would you most like to own? Do you believe that owning one of these cars is a good investment? Let us know in the comments. And of course, for sticking with us until the end, here's that bonus you're waiting for. On average, we spend 38 hours a year stuck in traffic, so by the time we turn 60, we would have spent 95 days sitting in our car stuck in traffic. So with that in mind, A-Luxers, best to spend those 95 days in the best that money can buy and opt for one of the most expensive cars in the world. Thank you for spending some time with us, A-Luxers. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos, which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question on our website, alux.com. Thank you for being an A-Luxer, and we'll see you back tomorrow.